Hey everybody, Angel Arts here, and welcome to a very special bonus episode during my Let's Play To the Moon. I actually have a special guest today, one of my viewers who recommended that I play the game in the first place. Please, everybody, welcome Miss Alexandra. Alexandra, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Some of you may have actually remember Alexandra. She dressed up as Sarah in one of my recent Let's Talk podcasts, our final Let's Talk podcast hangout for The Walking Dead season 2. She's also been a fantastic, very generous artist friend. As you can see, some of her artwork is actually up here. She drew the awesome artwork of Dory art, the art of Dory art, which is my Inquisitor art and Dorian together, as well as Chibi art and Little Cole right up there next to Alistair. Because I mentioned in one of my videos that I always wanted to have Art adopt Cole as his little brother, and I said somebody needs to mod a hug mod so that Art can hug Cole like a little brother. And so this is like the closest that I think I'm gonna ever get to see the two of
Oh.
them hugging, which is so great, which I love. So Alexandra's been great. Anyway, she has played through the To the Moon game. At least how many times have you played through it?
Only once.
Twice? Only once, but you've watched it
Yeah.
played through many times. She's watched
Mm,
it played through many times. And the reason for this video is because there are so many things about this game that you may not necessarily pick up when you first play it. There's a lot of hidden stuff, and it really is, according to Alexandra, when we were talking about this before, it really is one of those games that you get so much more out of it the second time you play through it, and maybe even continually learn something new that you never realized or discovered before if you watch a third or a fourth or a fifth playthrough of it. So it's a very deep game, and I just wanted to take the time to just sit down with Alexandra, because she actually is more of an expert on the game than I am, to discuss our thoughts on and analyze the plot, analyze the characters, and what exactly has been going on throughout the series, and hopefully you'll learn something new. So I don't know, Alexandra, how do you want to kick things off?
Actually, there's a little thing that want to point out is that when you
Sure.
start the game, just right after you click play, there's
Hmm.
this really quick flash, and you get to see John and River sitting looking at the lighthouse. It happens really quickly.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
every time
cute.
you play, you press play, the camera goes down, showing the
Okay.
place.
There's little things like that, like little touches, little Easter eggs that you may miss if you don't look at it carefully or somebody doesn't point out to you. So I'll have to be on a lookout for that. So I think Alexander and I, we wanted to try to go through this chronologically as much as possible and touch base on things. So we'll try to remind each other of what happens, because I've played it a couple of weeks ago, and trying to remember all of the events. But anyway, we start off at the house, River and
Yeah.
John's house, which we later find out is their house, and we meet the two Sigmund Corporation workers, Eva and Watts. By the way,
Yeah,
Neil Watts made
I
it to
saw
my
him.
wall. Yep, there's Neil. Neil's over there, right next to Vaughn and Reese and Chibi Omid, and underneath Cole. Love Cole, but Watts is easily my favorite character. Although I love both him and Eva together, just
Yeah.
in general.
I love how you get to see the relationship since the very first scene they have together.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the chemistry between them is great. Just the very first dialogues they have together, you get it immediately.
Yes, I agree. The two of them, they are coworkers. They the banter between them is very reminiscent of Dragon Age or Bioware banter. Very comical. Watts obviously is he's more of the comic relief one. He's the one who takes things a lot less seriously, a lot more carefree. Everything's cool, a little bro-ish. I think Watts is a little bro-ish, and then Eva, she's a lot more, you know, a lot
Serious.
more serious, and no nonsense, and we're here to work. Let's try to keep this professional. And I would like to say a little bit more intelligent. There are a bunch of times when Watts would say something like, "Nobody calls tomatoes a fruit," and I'm like, "I call tomatoes a fruit," and various things like that. And Eva even does things with her intelligence. She says things really funny, like a pack of pumas or something is what something he said. I think Watts said something about a pack of pumas and
Tiger.
or pack of tigers, and Eva's like, he's like, "You idiot! Tigers don't move in packs."
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. So yeah, it's really neat to see them, and they've got this machine that they have to bring over to this house. And if you've never played it before, you're like, okay, what is this machine supposed to do? What is their assignment? Obviously, the roadkill has significance in the story later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, even before that, even before the scene with the car crash, we hear the tune, the piano tune.
Yeah.
Of I think it's Tommy and I forgot the girl's name.
Sarah.
It's Tommy and Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tommy and Sarah, and they're playing the main theme of this game.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the whole soundtrack, I've said this so many times, is just phenomenal.
It's amazing. It's so great. And then later you start traveling and you get to the novelty beach ball. Tommy's novelty beach ball.
Yeah, that novelty beach ball. That one took me by surprise.
Yeah. It's really cool because that scene has two different outcomes depending on your decisions. And you actually get a third option of abort mission and go home. And if you click it, you get a bit of extra dialogue. Just, some more dialogues where Eva convinces Neil to, keep going with the job.
Okay.
Yeah, and those decisions, those little decisions, they don't affect the main story, but they're a great thing for when you replay the game, because the game is meant to be replayed, and if it was the same thing over and over, you would get tired. But these little decisions help you have different scenes, so every time you play, you get these little different outcomes that it's really entertaining to see them and to try different options and different combinations of decisions.
Yeah. And I think it's important to encourage the player to replay the game because of when you play it a second time, you notice things. Knowing what you notice things. Things that I didn't notice until Alexandra started pointing them out to me, which we're going to get deeper into. So, and Alexandra, at any point, stop me if I'm flying through and you want to make a point about something. But we meet the caretaker. We meet Lily, and we meet the doctor who's taking care of Johnny.
Yeah.
And then we kind of learn what these people are all about. That they're in there. This guy is dying. He contracted these people to give him his dying wish, and they're supposed to dive into his head and basically upload themselves into the Matrix. And at least that's what Watts would say. And find out what he wants, what his final wish is, and try to make that a reality in his memories. Now, one thing that I never quite understood, Alexandra, is does that mean they are essentially wiping out, deleting his previous memories and replacing it, or does he still kind of keep his real memories? Like, is that ever explained?
I read something once, long time ago, is that this thing, it has to be done on a person who's dying, who's in his deathbed, because when they change his memories after they're done, his brain kind of goes into conflict, and if they keep him alive with, wipe out memories and new ones, and it starts creating conflict on the person's head,
and they might go insane.
The person won't be able to function correctly ever again. So that's why it has to be someone who's dying. I don't know if they
interesting.
I don't know if they wipe out the real memories. I have no idea. It's never mentioned. And the thing about the conflict in the person's head actually is also never mentioned, but I read about it, and that's the reason why it has to be someone who's dying. I think I read it in the page of the game, River.
Oh, the game itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Background information.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's cool because it's nice that you mention all of this because this is really interesting information where when we're going to talk later. I'm going to save this near the end about the morality of what Sigmund Korn is doing because that gets touched based more on the holiday special.
Yeah.
Is the morality of the whole thing because I feel like my stance on it, I'm not sure what my moral stance on it personally is, only because I feel like there's a lot of questions about the procedure that I don't know. So it depends on whether they completely wipe out somebody's memory. And what you're saying is the reason for them to do it when somebody's dying is, like you said, they wouldn't be able to function if they kept them alive. There's that moral thing where, well, what if the person doesn't end up dying? Then what? Like, you guys are kind of SOL, and who takes responsibility? But, the guy signed a contract, so, But anyway, we'll get more into that debate, the moralistic debate, hypothetically, later. So they have to start from his most recent memory and try to use that to determine what he wants, and then they will start connecting from one memory to another using mementos, and that's how they jump, because that's the only way they can move back is because, and this makes sense, I think even in the real world, if I remember from biology class or about how the brain works, is that the way we remember things is we have connections. Like I remember stuff because I associate a thought that associates with another thought that associates with another thought, and that's how I remember things. That's how memories. They say that's how the brain works when it comes to memory, loosely. So that does make sense. But before we get to the part where they dive in, you get to do some explorations.
Yeah, you get to choose who you wanna explore the house with.
Yes,
and
I feel like
it's really cool because each character has a different exploration kind of scene.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the one of the best things is when you go ask the kids for help, because Eva and Neil have both of them have really interesting ways of accepting the candy cane quest. I like to call it the candy cane quest.
Yes. Okay.
And on rejecting it. You want me to tell? I know every outcome.
Please.
You want me to tell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please tell me. Give me a rough explanation of what happens with Neil when you pick Neil.
Okay. With Neil, when you accept the candy cane quest, he brags about it being a quest. He goes to the kitchen, he picks the candy cane, and he's like, "Okay, I completed your quest," and he says more stuff. He does reference to.
Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah, and he's the funniest one to reject the quest, because if you reject it, he's like, "You kids, you know that wanting to eat candy canes is a crime, right? So if you help me and if you give me a tour through the house, I won't tell anyone."
Okay.
That's he convinces them. Yeah, he convinces them that they're doing something illegal. So he's like, he blackmails them.
That's cute.
Yeah, and if you reject the quest as Eva, she says that Neil is going to buy them 5 more candies.
Oh, okay. That's a very Eva thing to do.
Yeah.
So okay. Before you even see the kids, there's those paintings on the wall.
Oh yeah.
Because I ran into those first, and later on, at the beginning, I didn't know what the significance of those paintings are. But I believe now there's the painting of him and River and Nicholas. I think there's a painting of the three of them. Or maybe Isabel.
Isabel. There's also River holding the bunny, the blue and yellow bunny.
Yeah, River holding the bunny, and we'll talk about the bunnies in a moment.
Yeah. The platypus and the lighthouse.
Yes. So when you play the game again, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, an interesting thing is that later you learn that Johnny said that he was never going to pick up a brush again after that painting class. Remember?
Oh, I didn't. Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
So he finally starts painting again.
Yeah, and actually, when you go to the study, you see a bit of things to paint, and if you walk closer to it, you didn't do it, you missed it. But if you walk closer to the painting, whatever character you're controlling, let it be Eva, let it be Neil, they complain about almost stepping on the paint.
So it's fresh.
Yeah.
Which means it was relatively recent that he started painting again.
Mhm.
And maybe it's a way to cope with his wife's death. I'm wondering if he started painting after River died, is my guess.
Uh,
Maybe?
yeah, I mean, because when you go into his head, the paintings are not there.
Are not there.
I
Yep,
think,
the
yeah,
paintings were
his
not
memory
there.
is not there.
Yes, makes sense. Okay, that is cool. See, these are little things that I did not pick up. Little details, because I would not have made the connection about him not picking up a brush, and that's cool. Thank you, Alexandra. See, this is why we have her around. So there's the paintings, and then I don't think there's anything significant in the bathrooms, because I've been going through the bathrooms.
No.
I mean, you see the book about the Emperor's new clothes, which we will find out the significance of that later. You
You
go
see the
through-
medical journals in the room.
Yeah,
Could it be, always wonder, are they about River's condition?
the ones
have
that Johnny never refused to read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like did he ever read them after all? Because if there are medical journals in his room,
Yeah,
maybe he read
don't know.
them after his wife died.
maybe. I never understood that. Was it ever explained why Johnny refused to read the books? Like, is it because he just didn't want to come to terms with? He didn't want to, because once he reads it, then it's real. Once he reads it, then he accepts that, yes, my wife has this condition. Or
I actually always thought that it was because he approached River in high school because she was different. Okay.
okay,
And when he found out about her condition, maybe he thought that maybe he didn't wanted a reason for his wife to be different. He just wanted her to be different.
just
He
because.
didn't want a reason. Yeah, he wanted her to be different just because.
Oh,
So
Gotcha.
yeah, he didn't want there to be a reason for her to be different.
Gotcha.
I
That's
don't know.
interesting.
That's what I always thought.
Okay, that's an interesting explanation. I like that. But yeah, you learn about, that's cool. So there's the medical journals, and then you go down and
Oh yeah, and forgot to mention the bunk bed is in the corner of Johnny's room.
Oh, I didn't notice that either.
Yeah, the bunk bed
That's
is
cool.
right on the
He
corner.
kept the bunk
Yeah,
bed.
yeah.
So even after his brother died, that's something that we're jumping around, but I think it's fine, because if it's brought up, then we'll just discuss it. It's because you brought up the dumb bunk bed. So I guess it was never really fully explained. When Johnny got the beta blockers, does that mean he completely forgot that he had a brother?
Yes.
But his subconscious is like,
Yeah.
well, there's this bunk bed. I think I'll keep it around. But it never like dawned on him what the bunk bed meant.
Yeah.
So he just completely forgot that he had a brother altogether.
Yep.
Which begs the question, since his mom kept... But I guess he still remembered his identity, because I figured, like, if he didn't remember about his brother, and he remembered that his mom kept calling him Joey, and
it's because the mom, Martha, yeah, her name's Martha. She always favored Joey.
yeah,
Joey was
very
always
clearly.
her favorite.
Yeah,
And when I think it's heavily implied that she went insane after her favorite son died. So, and I think she basically took advantage that Johnny lost his memories. So she tried to turn him into Joey.
into Joey. Oh, that's so...
Yeah, because Joey is the one who liked the olives, and she was the one who made sure that Johnny started liking olives, and maybe
Yes.
maybe she was the one who made sure that Johnny started liking the animals, because the animals
Yeah.
were Joey.
That's an interesting explanation, because what I thought was the reason why Johnny suddenly started liking olives and Animorphs is because he subconsciously was trying to keep his brother alive. And because he like you said, he apparently doesn't remember he had a brother, but somewhere in his subconscious he knows that there's a part of him, through his brother, there's a part of him that loves olives, and there's a part of him that likes Animorphs. And so by liking the same things that his brother liked, it sort of kept his brother with him, even though he was not realizing subconsciously what was happening. But I kind of like your thoughts also. I like your explanation as well.
I actually never thought about that. Maybe it's true. I don't know. But the mom, because it's implied that she went cuckoo. They even say that she went cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes more sense that she tried to replace Joey.
Alexandra, I want to ask your opinion then, Alexandra. Are you upset at Johnny's mom for A, having a favorite kid to begin with, and B, wanting to replace her not as favorite child as her favorite child after the child died? Like, I had some pretty strong feelings about my opinion of the mom throughout this story, and I was wondering if you shared or you were sympathetic towards the mom, or like, how did
Um,
you feel?
no, I was
You were not
no, like
sympathetic towards the mom.
no, like they did
Okay.
the thing. If she actually did it, try to replace Johnny with Joey. I mean, Joey do whatever. I just no, I never liked it. Like when she says, there's one dialogue she says when they're
Mm-hmm.
like at that
The
festival.
fair,
She
the
said
carnival.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the carnival. She's like, "See, Johnny, you should be more like your brother." And the moment she
Yeah.
said it, I was like, "Nope, I no, I didn't
Yeah.
like her at all."
Yeah. I that hurt. That actually affected me personally, because growing, I have a brother as well. We're not twins, but he's my younger brother, and my parents fortunately did not do that. My parents were not like, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" Um, but because I was older, I mean, I went through. I was very much very active in school. Like, I took school very seriously, so was on the honor roll all the time. I did SGA. I did a lot of clubs and stuff. So the people, teachers liked me a lot,
Mhm.
and did all the honors classes as well. My brother is also very smart. However, he didn't do as much necessarily as I did. And so there would be teachers who have told my brother, why can't you be more like your older brother? And that, I'm sure that was a constant. He felt like he was in, I honestly felt like he was always in my shadow. And I
Mm.
hated that because we're two different people, and I always tried to defend him whenever people tried to compare us with each other. So I was feeling that from the other end, from the opposite end, as someone who a lot of people, I guess, wanted my younger brother to be more like. So I think people who might be more sympathetic to the mom may argue, well, the mom became insane, clinically insane. It's not her fault. Like, she can't help it any more than River or Isabel can't help being the way they are. So why should we judge the mom? I mean, she obviously made a horrible mistake, that
Yeah.
lethal mistake that you can't undo. I mean, I can't even imagine how horrible it is for any parent to not only lose a child, but losing a child based on your negligence. Like, having that be your fault. You were the one, she was the one who brought this child to the world, and she was the one who brought this child out of the world. I can't even imagine what that would be like, you know?
Yeah.
I don't have kids yet, but I can imagine, geez. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
um, yeah, like my mom would go insane if she was the reason why I died. So
Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, I mean it makes sense, but it still hurts because I'm actually
Hmm.
on Johnny's shoes here because I have a cousin, younger cousin, and everyone was always like, "Why are you not more like your cousin? Because she's perfect
Uh,
in every way."
oh, she's perfect. Yes.
Yeah, and
Well, you are perfect,
so
Alexandra. So,
thank you.
but people don't
Uh,
have to tell. People don't have to tell your cousins that. So, that's just understood.
yeah. So, but I mean, it makes sense that she went insane, but still,
Yeah.
the fact that she tried to replace Johnny that way, like she tried to take Johnny's identity away from him to get back her
Yeah.
favorite son.
I guess you can make the excuse that even before Joey died, she was favoring her son. So you can't even use the insanity explanation then, because she was already pretty much elevating her first, or Joey first, over Johnny. So
Hmm.
that's true. So okay, so let's continue on. So you eventually are exploring through the house, and you end up in the strange room, or the funny room, the funny room.
Yeah.
This is the part where the entire tone of the game took a complete 180. I didn't see it coming. I was blindsided because I thought this was going to be lighthearted. I knew that at some point this game would get emotional and I would start crying, but at least at the very beginning it was very comedic. It was intriguing because of all this like sci-fi stuff going on. And then you go into the room and the music changes. The first thing that hits you is the music because it's creepy. The music gets creepy very fast, and then the lights are off. And then you turn on the lights, and all of a sudden, psh, it's like, you know, in a lot of movies that are thriller movies, the suspense movie where something's weird going on with somebody's husband, like my husband's acting really weird, and then you go down in the basement, and then you turn on the lights, and all of a sudden there's like all these like art, like stuff is on the wall or something, and it's really creepy. That's how I felt, and I think that's what the intention of the game was. And so when that happened, I was like, this just took a total turn that I didn't think it would take a turn. And you see all the bunnies. So let's talk about the bunnies, because that's a huge part of this story, Alexandra.
The first thing, when you already know, is that Johnny kept the bunnies, all of them. Because when River made her last bunny, the yellow and blue, in their other house. So he took the time to take every single bunny she made and put them in that room.
Did River did survive moving to the new house, right? Or did she never make it to the new house?
No, because if you pay attention, when she gives Johnny the last bunny, they're in a different house. They look a lot like...
Oh, they're in a different house.
It's a different house. Yeah.
Okay.
And she says that house, not this house.
Gotcha. So she died before they actually moved.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so go ahead, Alexandra. Do you want to explain the significance of the bunnies? Okay.
Okay.
Either of us can explain it, because you explained it to me, and I figured maybe you should explain it since you're the one who told me about it, because I didn't catch it. I didn't catch it the first time.
Yeah, because the bunnies are River's way of trying to tell Johnny, trying to make him remember. Because when she finds out that Johnny doesn't remember their first encounter, we'll get to that later, I guess. She tries, I guess you can say that she tries to recreate the sky on the night they met, because she makes all these yellow bunnies, and you can say that they're resembling each and one of the stars that were in the sky that night. And then the last bunny she makes is the moon, because the belly of the bunny is yellow and the rest is blue.
Right. Yes, and that is what I did not pick up, is that because of the beta blockers, Johnny completely forgot meeting River for the first time. And because he forgot meeting River for the first time, they made that promise that they would always show up on their spot. He said that they would promise that they go to the carnival every year, and so the plan was every year Johnny would meet River at their special spot, and that's what was supposed to happen. Unfortunately, shortly after his brother dies, they put him on the beta blocker, so he completely forgets it. So then following years, this is what breaks my heart. The following years, during River's childhood, she's coming to this spot hoping to see Johnny again, and he's not there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's kind of the reason why River's very cautious when she runs into Johnny again in high school, because Johnny's like trying to, muster up all this courage, and Nicholas is trying to, give him the pep talk and say, go ask her out, or go ask her on a date or something. And when he approaches her and starts talking to her, she doesn't respond right away. And I'm wondering if part of it is because she's being cautious, or she's like, maybe part of her is still a little upset and angry that all this time.
I never thought about that, because Yeah, because she probably showed up every year and he never came. I
Yeah,
actually never thought about that.
yeah, never
Oh,
came. And so they end up in the
yeah,
same high school together. And what I'm thinking is she remembers him. So she
yeah.
recognizes him even though they're older. And
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't even think that she's exists, or at least doesn't say hi or anything because he doesn't remember her. But he notices her.
Yeah,
So she probably was upset, like, what is this? Like, he doesn't seem to even think that I exist. So maybe part of her is feeling sad or
yeah,
a
but
little bit angry or something, or maybe
mm,
a combination. So that when finally Johnny decides to approach her and ask her and starts talking to her, because he doesn't even remember the platypus that she has.
yeah.
Part of her was thinking, like, is this some sort of a trick? Is he gonna break my heart again? Because
Mm,
I remember the last time he made this promise and he never showed up, and she probably never doesn't know anything about his situation with his brother. Because I don't even
yeah,
think that she would have even known. She would not probably would not necessarily have known that Johnny had a brother,
exactly.
because she didn't meet the brother at the fair, and then Johnny forgot that he had a brother.
Yeah,
So I guess River, like, to the point where she died, never understood the real reason why Johnny forgot.
mm-hmm.
Um, so, yeah, because I thought it was kind of odd. I mean, part of me at the time thought that the reason why she didn't respond right away might be because of her condition, like the social cues. But I think it's more than that. I think it's more rooted towards her caution. And then, like you mentioned, she finds out that he doesn't remember at all their final meeting, or the first meeting, excuse me, the
Yeah,
first time they met.
mm-hmm.
And that is what caused her to start making all of the bunnies.
Yeah,
And if you have played the game if you were playing the game for the first time, I think they're trying to trick the player into thinking, oh, it's her condition. She's making these bunnies because of her condition, and she's just repeatedly making bunny after bunny, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. She's just making a whole bunch of bunnies, and then all of a sudden there's this blue and yellow bunny, which probably has some significance, but how are we supposed to know? Because we're not really sure how her mind works. And but then later on you discover, no, there actually was something very specific and significant for making all those bunnies, which was to try to recreate that experience when they first met.
yeah,
Do I think I covered all of that, Alexandra?
yeah, yeah. But I mean, the fact that she can't ask him about it. Like, you can't know for sure why she remains silent when
Yeah, I never
he
understood
asks
that
her.
completely.
I mean, remaining silent when someone's asking you a question is it's big part of her condition because it's really hard for her to communicate. It's really
Mm.
hard for her to think the words she wants to say, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
because you would think.
I never thought
y-
that she didn't talk to him that right. She didn't answer him immediately because she was angry. I always thought that she didn't answer because of her condition.
Oh. Well, I like when she
Never.
was. Yeah. Well, when she was making all the bunnies, I was thinking would have been a lot less effort. I think it would probably have been a lot less effort for him just to tell him, by the way, we have met before back in. But
But
instead, I guess she decided
she
that
couldn't.
for her,
She
she
couldn't.
couldn't for some
She couldn't
reason.
do it. She
She couldn't just
couldn't.
tell him. So instead,
Yeah.
she made all those bunnies. And what you told me when we had our conversation off camera, Alexander, it broke your heart. And once you told me, it broke my heart too, that she died before Johnny could remember. Like, Johnny wasn't able to remember. She died trying
Yeah.
to get him to remember, and he never did. He never does
Like,
remember.
yeah, because the scene when she gives him the yellow and blue bunny, and when you already know what she's trying to do, she's trying so hard, like so hard to make him remember, and he
Yeah,
doesn't. Like, you see him,
and he
like
doesn't.
she asks him, what
What
else do you see?
else? Yes, what else do you
Yeah, and
see?
then
Yes.
and then Johnny just throws the bunny at the floor and tells her
Yeah.
he has a song for her.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. It's really
That's hard.
heartbreaking
That's
to
heart
watch that
wrenching.
scene again, and you
Yeah.
know why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Anyway, and then it gets sadder from there. So
Yeah.